Good evening, and welcome to the Hatfields and McCoys Radio Hour, presented by Theater West Virginia, bringing our state the finest in outdoor drama since 1961, and the finest in historical radio drama since 2020. Tonight's presentation is being broadcast from Logan, West Virginia, and is sponsored by the law offices of Perry, Cline, and Associates. Thank you so much for traveling across the centuries to join us, Counselor.
Objection.
I'm sorry?
My apologies. Force of habit. Thank you for inviting me to be on this radio show, did you say?
Yes, Counselor Cline. Well, close enough at any rate. Now, I must say, we're very pleased to have you sponsoring this week's episode. As some of our listeners may have heard, your law firm was actually somewhat involved in this story, correct?
I plead the fifth.
Excuse me? Could you elaborate?
What part of the fifth don't you understand?
Well, please, Mr. Cline. I'm sure our listeners would appreciate any insight you can give.
I will neither confirm nor deny that 140 or so years ago, plenty long enough for any statute of limitations to have expired, the law firm of Perry Cline Esquire may or may not have participated in various and sundry legal actions on behalf of one Randolph McCoy et al. With concern to timber rights, mineral rights, hog rights, and several, shall we say, unfortunate firearms incidents that may or may not have befell certain Hatfields and or McCoys.
Well, that was a very thorough way of telling us, well, next to nothing, Counselor Cline. Would you care to elaborate further?
I plead the fifth.
Again with that.
Fifth!
Please, Counselor. No, really.
Number 5.
This is really getting to be...
4 4/4.
But, Counselor, please.
Double jeopardy.
What?
Wheel of Fortune. Press your luck.
Now you're just naming game shows. Very well then, Mr. Cline. Is there anything you are at liberty to share with our listeners before we begin this week's episode?
Well, I'm willing to state on the record that with the ongoing pandemic, arts organizations across the country are struggling to continue on. That's why my law firm and I encourage everyone to visit Theater West Virginia at facebook.com/Theater West Virginia to make a tax-deductible donation to help keep the arts alive in southern West Virginia. And now, without further ado, sit back and enjoy.
Here now, that's my line.
Too late. Possession is 9/10 of the law.
Thank you again to the law office of Perry, Cline, and Associates. Now then, sit back and enjoy the Hatfields and McCoys.
The Hatfields and McCoys fought a bloody vendetta that wrote their names on the lips of people the world over. Their story has been told and retold by word of mouth, the people's history book, until the real men and women diffuse into myth, and their deeds became tangled in legend. But they did live, they did exist. Welcome to this week's episode, An Eye for an Eye. For many years now, the bad blood between the two families had been boiling. From lingering grudges to legal entanglements, the seeds of resentment grew and grew. But in spite of all of this, a spark of genuine connection had grown into an unlikely romance between Johnse Hatfield and Roseanne McCoy. After many a stolen glance and long look at one another, Johnse and Roseanne had seized their moment after an Election Day celebration, going off into the May hours together, hidden away from the ill will between their families. But even as they basked in the glow of young love, their bliss was to be short-lived.
Oh, I wish I were a poet who could write a fine hand, to write my love a letter that he'd understand. And I'd ride it by the river where the waters overflow and dream of...
Roseanne? Roseanne? There you are. Now, what did you go wandering off for?
It's just... I'm worried, Johnse. They surely all gone by now. I've got to be going.
Well, I'll take you home.
Home? I can't go home now. I'm sorry, Johnse, but we ought not to have done this. Daddy's liable to kill me, and maybe you too.
Tain't no matter. I stick by what we done. I'll take you home with me then.
Oh, will you now? And marry me?
Well, honey, we're practically married already, ain't we? Come on.
I feel like taking Roseanne by the hair of her head and just slinging her all the way back to Kentucky.
Well, ain't but one way to do that. Let's go get her.
All right, come on now, Randall Jr., let's get the rifles.
No, Daddy done said we ain't to go marching into West Virginia.
Oh, hush up, Junior. We ain't afraid to go get what's ours. Ain't that right, Jim?
Oh, hell, Phamer. Let him have her if she likes him that much. Besides, Junior's just a boy. Don't go getting him mixed up in this. Leave it be. When Daddy gets home, we'll let him study on it.
Study on what? Thought so. I figured I was a fool to take my eye off your sister when Johnse Hatfield was about. Well, we're leaving her to him then. She ain't a McCoy no more.
No, Randall, he may have forced her. Maybe we send her sisters to see about her. Josephine and Allifair could go.
Yes, we could go, Daddy.
No.
Oh, please, Randall.
Yeah, Daddy, we don't never do nothing.
I said no. We wait. As much as I hate him, we ain't a-going. I swear to God, I never thought Roseanne would do this.
Well, I did.
And that's why I said we wait.
Well, let's just go ourselves then.
No, Phamer.
Yeah, Daddy said we wait.
Yeah, and if he'd wait forever if he could.
Give it time, Tolbert. We'll have our day when it's due. You let's come on now.
Damn!
Roseanne?
Oh, Mrs. Hatfield. Sorry, I didn't hear you come in.
Well, I thought you might be resting, seeing as you've been ailing lately. I guess you got enough strength to do some packing, though.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Hatfield. I can't thank you enough for taking me in, the way things are. But I can't be staying here any longer.
Now, Roseanne, you don't pay no mind to Mr. Ance. Whatever quarrel he may have with your daddy, he's starting to see reason. He just wants to keep the peace.
Yes, Mrs. Hatfield, I know.
And now don't you go worrying about Cap neither. Heck, he's just jealous is what he is. Maybe if he weren't too busy raising hell with his Uncle Jim, he'd find himself a good woman like you.
It ain't none of that, Mrs. Hatfield.
Well,
I'm pregnant.
I see. Have you told Johnse yet?
No, ma'am.
Well, why not? It's his baby, ain't it?
All due respect, Mrs. Hatfield. Your son ain't gonna marry me. Were that the case, he'd be here right now.
Now, Roseanne, that ain't quite fair then.
Ain't it? He ain't been home for 3 days. For all his sweet talk and kind words, where is he? Where's he been when I've been needing him? Now, I'm sorry. I know you want him to be better than that. Well, I ain't gonna burden you anymore.
Where will you go then?
On to Stringtown. My Aunt Betty McCoy lives there. She's expecting me. Said she could put me up till I had the baby. When you see Johnse, will you tell him I'm there? I really do love him, Mrs. Hatfield. I do. And if he still loves me, I hope he'll come and find us there.
I'm sorry, Roseanne. I really am. I'll send for him as soon as I can.
Thank you, Mrs. Hatfield. Goodbye.
Now what's the matter, Johnse?
Huh? Nothing, Nancy. Just a feeling. Like we've done something wrong.
Oh, just now you're thinking that. You show up here 3 days ago with that hangdog look on your face, and only now you're wanting to tell me why?
I know Roseanne weren't quite herself when I left. Mama said she'd take care of her, but I just got a feeling there's something more.
Oh, I know how it is, Johnse Hatfield. It's a good time when you got the time, but every time we get done with that, all of a sudden you've got a bad feeling. You just put that out of your mind. You get back to bed.
Dang it, Nancy. Just shut it a minute.
It's about time.
Mama.
Oh, don't you start that mama hog slop, Johnse.
I guess your mama thought you was doing something wrong too, Johnse.
Now you shut your mouth and make yourself decent, Nancy McCoy.
Dang it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and you could stop with your sorries too. Sorry is for boys who spilt their milk, but you're a man now, and you spilt more than that. You got Roseanne McCoy with child.
I what?
Yeah, of course you did, Johnse. Heck, your daddy taught you all about the birds and the bees. What'd you think was gonna happen? Uh-huh. She just went off now to her Aunt Betty's. She's in Stringtown, heartbroken over you. Of course, I ain't got the heart to tell her I figured that you'd be holed up here.
This true, Johnse?
I'm, sorry, Nancy. I gotta go.
Here now, Roseanne, don't you go straining yourself now.
Thanks, Aunt Betty. I'm just wanting to sit outside some.
Come on, then. The fresh air tonight will do you some good.
Have you, have you heard anything from Johnse?
Well, he knows you're here, Roseanne, but not much more. Your brothers know you're here too, though, and that's what worries me. Listen, you stay there now, Roseanne. I thought I heard something. Who's there? Johnse? Is that you? Johnse?
I'm here to see Roseanne, Betty.
Well, it ain't a good night to be here, Johnse. I heard the McCoy boys is setting up to trap you.
I ain't heard nothing. Roseanne.
Johnse.
Well, you two make it quick. I'll keep an eye out.
I came as quick as I could. What's the matter now, Roseanne?
You ain't come quick enough. Reckon I ain't too pretty to you anymore, way I am.
You are now too, Roseanne. Heck, you're beautiful as ever. And what you pouting about?
All those months I was staying with y'all. Putting up with your daddy and your brother and them. Trying my best to be good to you, Johnse. All while you just come and go whenever you please. I never knew where you were. I didn't know what you were doing. And right when I was needing you, you go running off to God knows where. But I waited. I waited for you to come and prove me wrong when I said how awful you was at staying in love with someone.
I'm sorry, Roseanne. But I'm here now. You just hush up about all that now. I'm here now and I stick by what's mine.
Johnse and McCoy boys isn't coming for you. You better get.
On it, Johnse.
Oh, I told you we'd catch this here polecat. He ain't getting away this time.
He ain't done nothing to y'all.
You shut your mouth, sister. You stay out of our business.
Jim?
It's took us too long to catch him.
Randall Jr., please.
Now, we ain't gonna hurt him none, Roseanne, less'n he tries to... Oh,
sister!
Let her go!
She might go enough and tell Devil Ann's, Jim. What if he takes a knife cut and heads us off?
Oh, we know he ain't got the guts.
Well, how'd any of you know? Ain't none of y'all got the guts my daddy has.
I heard he's got sheep guts.
Sheep's guts. Bye.
Yeah.
Well, last time we butchered a lamb, Daddy said, well, looky there. How'd them McCoy guts get in that there lamb?
So you're saying us McCoys got sheep's guts, huh?
Nah. I figured y'all got no guts at all.
Ugh. Looks like this here ladies' man wants us to think he can fight. Well now. And one more.
Mr. Hatfield, please, Mr. Hatfield.
Roseanne, what the hell you doing back here, girl?
Johnse came to see me at Aunt Betty's. My brothers found him, and...
And what? They gave him what's coming to him.
You shut your mouth, Cap Hatfield. They're liable to kill Johnse, all for trying to be twice the man that you'll ever be.
Oh, yeah? With that mouth of yours, I wonder what took him so long.
That's enough now. Roseanne, can you take us back to where they was headed?
Yes, Mr. Hatfield.
Cap, get Uncle Jim and Elson, whoever else you can find, and catch up with us. Go now!
You like us sheep-gutted McCoy boys, now don't you, Johnse?
I like McCoy girls better.
Oh, you son of a...
Hold it now. Can't you see he's trying to make you mad? Stall him for time.
I got time if he has.
I said hold it. Let's go right now. We'll hog-tie you if we have to, Johnse. Don't try nothing. Let's move.
Lay your rifles to the ground.
Oh, looks like you hurt your hand there, Tolbert. Now, I hope you boys didn't mistreat Johnse any.
It don't matter none, Ellison. Now it's our turn to have a little fun. You McCoys, you better figure out we hate kidnappers. We despise them. Now on your knees.
No!
You'd rather be shot?
Shoot! I ain't bowing down.
Well, you McCoys got some guts after all, don't you, Jim? Remind me of myself at your age. Be a pity to have to kill you.
Pity is right, Uncle Jim. But an eye for an eye, as they say. Ain't nobody gonna blind hair yet, though. Get on your knees, then. It don't have to be this way.
It'll be how you want it, Devil Ants. Always is, ain't it? You Hatfields always win out, don't you? Hell, back in the war, you took up with the losing side and still got to ride back home like you were some kind of hero. Meanwhile, your kinfolk up and shot Uncle Harmon for fighting for what he believed in.
Yeah, and don't forget about Daddy's pig, too.
Shut up, Phamer.
No, we ain't a bowing down no more, Devil Ants. Because it is an eye for an eye, so let's see how many you got to go around. You want to shoot the four of us because we roughed up your womanizing son, then go on and do it.
Jim?
I said do it!
Having been ambushed and outnumbered, Jim McCoy takes a stand against Devil Ants and the entire Hatfield force in the name of all that his family has suffered through. In doing so, he may have signed his own death warrant. As a shot echoes through the hills, we are left to wonder if these two families are too far gone for their feud to lead to anything but all-out slaughter, or if there is still some chance at an uneasy peace. Join us next week for Episode 5, The Tug River Runs Red.
Thank you for joining us for this evening's episode of the Hatfields and McCoys. The script was adapted by Nick Yurick, inspired by the play by Billy Edd Wheeler, with music composed by Ewel Cornett. Sound editing was done by Sam Yurick. Tonight's cast featured Steve New as Perry Cline, attorney at law. Amy Taylor was your narrator. Johnse Hatfield was played by Austin Seipp. Roseanne McCoy by Ashley Davis. Tolbert McCoy, Rick Olson. Phamer McCoy, Drew Nunley. Randall McCoy Jr. by Michael Williams. Rebekah New as Allifair McCoy. Lindsey Palmer as Josephine McCoy. Dan Manning as Randolph McCoy. Brooks Cline as Jim McCoy. Wendy Sullivan as Sarah McCoy. Levicy Hatfield was played by Sharon Chadwick. Nancy McCoy by Megan Macy. Aunt Betty McCoy, Barbara Yurick. Andy Woodruff as Devil Ants Hatfield. Tommy Crossan as Cap Hatfield. Lou Whitener as Ellison Hatfield. And Michael Martin as Jim Vance. Visit facebook.com/theaterwv and make a tax-deductible donation to keep the arts alive in southern West Virginia. Join us next week for Episode 5, The Tug River Runs Red.